Sound the horn, it's time to hunt. We've been playing a lot of the demo of the upcoming Monster Hunter Rise, almost obsessively so, some might say. This is Juan Amiral from Gamer Braves, and not even things like a 30 hunt limit can stop us from telling you our thoughts on the exciting new entry in the Monster Hunter series.
Gamer Braves.
So, Rise is what you call a half generation. Similar to the Pokemon games, Monster Hunter has various generations representing different big directions for the games. With Rise being a half step from the 5th generation Monster Hunter world, it basically means they're aiming for the same big ideas, although they're optimized for their different platforms. Rise builds on the open nature of Monster Hunter world by carrying all the best parts of it over to the Nintendo Switch. Big maps, no loading times, it's all there. Sadly, things like environmental hazards had to be removed, but hey, the game never drops below 30 frames per second on the Switch, so I'll take what I can get. With Monster Hunter Rise, you have the addition of a new type of companion, the Palamute. The Palamute acts as an additional DPS in your party, while the series mainstay Palico is more of a support role now. That's not as important though, because the main value of the Palamute is that you can ride it across the map, similar to how you could ride random animals in Iceborne. You can sharpen your weapon and top off your health while doing these, and the dog has no effect on your stamina, so you don't have to worry about that. I really like that they added this feature, especially since the slinger from World is gone, so you no longer have a fast climb option. The dog can totally climb vines, getting you into the fight as quickly as possible. The other new feature is the Wirebug. Now, there's no exaggeration when I say this might be my favorite new feature in Monster Hunter Rise. It's the perfect combination of various features from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, Generations, World, and Iceborne. Sorry, still no swimming, 3 Ultimate fans. So how does one gimmick do all this? Well, let's unpack it step by step. Step 1. It's a grappling hook. So, at its most basic function, the Wirebug is a grappling hook. You can aim the Wirebug and zip up to it, even holding a button to hang from there. You can freely aim this too, even using it to move horizontally instead of only going up to preset points like it was in World. Now, I didn't use this feature as much in World because aiming is slow and breaks the tempo of the hunt. That didn't stop Capcom though, because they give you shortcut buttons to get you to go up or horizontal. On these is pretty fast, using up one of your 2 Wirebug charges. You can also pick up third ones in the overworld, acting as a short-term power-up by giving you an extra charge. Aside from just all around being good, Capcom made sure there's a lot of benefits to using the Wirebug. There's stuff like the fact you can do jumping attacks off of them without having to camp near ledges anymore. You can wall run off of terrain, but they all pale in comparison to the best Wirebug option. You can chuck freaking barrel bombs off of these. They're laughably impractical, but the idea of ruining all flying wyverns' day by dropping bombs on them is so dumb I have to do it at least once per hunt. Of course, that's not all the Wirebug's good for. Step 2. It's a get out of jail free card. Have you ever been hit by a monster attack getting knocked down? Did you try mashing your buttons to get your hunter back up, only to be comboed before you could, all the while thinking to yourself, if only I'd gotten up faster, I wouldn't have just carted off of that combo. Presenting the Wirefall. This move expends 1 Wirebug charge to get your character back up much faster, even pulling you a good distance out of harm's way. Now, as a fighting game player who sucks at fighting games, the temptation is always gonna be, well, I should just use this to launch myself back at a monster for big damage, right? Wrong. This move has no invulnerability, and is purely so you'll stop whining about getting up too slow. Also, now fights are balanced around knowing that you can get up much faster, so a lot of attacks feel like they leave you open for much longer, since they know you have that extra charge to get out of jail. Speaking of fighting games. Step 3. It's a super meter. So, one of the most controversial features of Monster Hunter Generations was Hunter Arts. These are super moves that you could charge up, with many having weapon-specific attacks. The problem with them ended up being that they felt very out of place, and felt extra tacked on as a result. Wirebugs can be used for Silkbind attacks, which are Rise's versions of these. Wirebug cooldown is greatly increased if you use one of the Silkbind moves, but many of them have weapon-specific attacks. They're usually some variant of big attack or gives you armor so that you don't flitch out. They're still pretty cool since they tie into Rise's version of mounting. So, I started Monster Hunter in 4 Ultimate, where mounting was the new hotness. Jumping attacks off of ledges could trigger mounting, creating a mini-game that gets you a free monster down for you and your whole party. Heck, the Insect Glaive was built around this, with its vault making sure you could get in the air no matter what. With all this focus on aerial combat, I was kind of sad when Capcom said they wouldn't bring back mounting as we know it. Little did I know, it would get so much better. With Wyvern riding, it combines all those great Wirebug features with mounting to create a new feature that feels really well put together. Silkbind attacks, monster attacks, and jumping attacks fill up an invisible meter similar to the mounting gauge, and when it's full, the monster can be ridden. Now on the monster, you can attack other monsters, doing mounting damage to them too, or launch your monster into a wall, similar to the flinch shot in Iceborne. I don't really like the pace of the monster versus monster fights, but overall, I really like how this brings everything together. Silkbind moves do more than just flashy damage, they actually help build the meter. Mounting the wrong monster also isn't a waste, since you can use it to then mount the right monster. And even if there's no second monster around, you can still just launch your prey into a wall for big damage and a free down. Now, that's not to say I don't have my gripes with the game. I mainly don't like what they've done with buffs. Since we didn't get a chance to check out the items properly, it looks like buffs like attack up and the like are tied to endemic life power-ups you have to pick up on your way to the monster. It's fun to explore, but when you're farming Mizusune for the 5th time, stopping to make sure you got all your buffs just kills the mood. This also ties to the game's health and stamina systems, with the true cap for those being locked around collecting the appropriate power-ups. Considering I get hit a lot, I don't want to spend half my hunt mapping out the location of each shelf bird, just to get one shot again. All in all though, Rise looks like an absolute step up from World. I'll miss things like environmental hazards, sure, but they've made sure to carry over enough features that matter so it's not a step backwards in terms of quality of life. The Wirebug is an absolute godsend, and I can't wait to see what disgusting builds are gonna come out once we start getting our hands on some armor skills. There's also the understated satisfaction of playing Monster Hunter on a handheld again. The game was unilaterally better on home consoles, sure, but being able to hunt Rathian while I'm in the back of a car taps into a childlike glee something fierce. Monster Hunter Rise releases exclusively on Nintendo Switch March 26. This has been One from Game & Braze. Happy hunting, guys!